For the latest information regarding the COVID-19 pandemic in Cupertino, please visit cupertino.org/coronavirus.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining us. I'm Larry Little. As we learned yesterday, the county's risk level went from purple to red on the state's county activity status tier system. Betty Young is here to tell us what it means and what all of us can do to get us to the next level and a better level. But first, I want to let you know, prior to this segment, we remove our facial covering so everyone, including the American Sign Language interpreters, can clearly and properly communicate the information that we will be sharing this morning. Good morning, Betty D.
Good morning, Larry. Thank you for having me here today, and thank you everyone for taking time out of your day to join us for this Facebook Live briefing. Hopefully we can bring some really useful information and clarity to the news that's already been put out there yesterday.
So let's begin with the county had been at the purple tier, which is widespread, and we moved to red now. Can you share just what it means and then touch on what businesses will be allowed to resume operations?
Thank you, Larry. So, as Larry mentioned, the red tier, we are in the red tier now as of 1:30 p.m. yesterday. Red is also categorized as substantial spread. So we still are in a zone of heightened concern and awareness. Not the highest concern tier, but it's still substantial, as its namesake goes. So we're not out of the danger zone, and we still need everyone to be on high alert. We also need to be on high alert and vigilant of our surroundings, vigilant of the social distancing protocols and how we interact with each other and how we engage one another when patronizing our favorite businesses. So, with this red tier, it does mean that more businesses are allowed to resume operations. Some are allowed to resume indoor operations. I think of note, our nail salons are able to join our hair salons indoors now. So moving there, and that doesn't mean that they don't provide outdoor services anymore. I think we've seen the last 24 hours, a lot of nail salons are opting to do both, to offer both indoor services and outdoor services for patrons who prefer the additional safety and security of having outdoor services. So I just want to thank all of our nail salons for being flexible and pivoting their business operations to be able to do that. Gyms and fitness centers are allowed to resume indoor operations at 10% capacity, which is illustrative of where our local county order differs from the state order. There are some key differences that we're going to talk about a bit more. Massage services and other additional services such as that are able to resume within the county's guidelines. Our guidance here at the local level is guided by 3 core principles. So those 3 core principles are face coverings. How can we operate with face coverings in place at all times? The second core principle is social distancing. How we can operate our businesses and activities in a way that facilitates social distancing, proper social distancing between all customers, patrons, and workers. And also the third, finally, the third core principle is that outdoor will always be safer than indoors with respect to COVID. I know that the air quality has been tough for us, and it still is in a unhealthy state today. But as far as COVID goes, the rate of transmission is going to be much lower when we're able to be outdoors with constant air circulation. So with those 3 core principles guiding our local restrictions and guidance, it's going to affect different industries a little differently. So I want to just let everybody know that I want to give a shout out to our estheticians, our electrologists, are, because, services to the face and services where the face covering must be removed are still prohibited. And, I just want to let you all know, our appreciation for your continued partnership with us to develop suitable alternatives to operations and also for, continuing to abide by the health order. I know that's been rough for a lot of folks, but we are in constant communication. I want to appreciate that. So we are continuing to monitor the status of COVID in our community. We continue to work with city and state leadership and small business advocacy groups and industry leaders to make sure that we are seeking suitable alternatives to operations. We are working to identify whatever resources can be made available to our small businesses who have really felt the impact, the economic impact of our COVID response. And again, just want to appreciate all the businesses who have been in compliance, abiding by the social distancing protocol, changing their business operations, changing their models. We've been working with a lot of restaurant owners and I've heard about restaurant owners like changing their menus to be more friendly, more takeout friendly, dine out friendly. So I just want to appreciate that everyone has pivoted and changed the landscape. Change in accordance with the changing landscape of COVID in our community, with all the different orders that have come through, and so I just really want to appreciate you all out there.
Yeah, so let's talk about, because everything we do here is guided by science. So indoor restaurant, indoor eating indoors is out of the question at this time. Also, there are some other restrictions that won't allow some businesses to resume operations. Could you share a little bit about that?
Sure. Before we go into that, I just want to put out there that the state's framework is the floor, not the ceiling. What that means is that what the state puts out is the bare minimum for the whole state. We are a very diverse state. Our county is very unique. We're home to San Jose, which is the third largest city in the state, 10th largest city in the country. So what the state's framework does is that it provides a template for us to build on top of, build restrictions and build our guidance on top of. That reflects the unique nature of our county, our demographic, our diversity. We are an international hub of technology and commerce, so so our rules are going to look a little different just by the very nature of what our county is and all the things that make our county special. So I want to answer your question, where our local order differs from the state order is that we still do not allow for indoor dining. We do not allow for indoor gathering. We do not allow for large gatherings. So, by default, this is going to affect, worship services. It's going to affect restaurants that can't allow indoor dining. That's where we really want to promote practicing at a distance, virtual, going for the virtual option whenever it's available, whenever it's possible. Really focusing on like outdoor services. Where social distancing is facilitated, is possible, and face coverings are always must always be in place as much as possible.
So let's talk about school openings, because that one's very tricky, and that's why it's very important that what we do going forward will determine if schools will be allowed to reopen, because we have to be in this red tier for 14 days.
Yeah, according to the state's framework, we must be in the red tier for 14 days before we could even consider the possibility of indoor learning. Again, the state framework is the floor, not the ceiling. That decision of whether we resume indoor learning or not is really up to the specific districts, the school districts, and they need to monitor and decide for themselves, based on what their community looks like and where the risks are, if this is something they can move on with. Districts do have the option to opt out of indoor learning. So even if the state does allow it after a certain amount of time, the districts do have the leeway to not opt in, to just say that's not something that we can move forward with at our district at this time.
Yeah. So let's. I know you covered this before, but let's just touch on it again, where you said because a lot of people are asking, well, the state is allowing this for the red tier, but that doesn't apply in our county health orders.
Yeah. You're gonna get sick of me saying this, but the purpose of our Facebook Live briefing is to share information. And share it repetitively, share it clearly and consistently. The state's framework is the bare minimum of what we're allowed to do. No two counties are alike in the state of California. The Santa Clara County is an international hub. We have a large population. We have a lot of industry. We have a lot of commerce. We have a lot of small businesses here. It's what makes our county special. And because of that landscape, we do have to adjust accordingly to make sure that COVID is limited. The spread of COVID is limited for our counties here. So I think for now, for the foreseeable future, just because of how our county, the makeup of our county, is that we're going to always be a little different from the state. And at the same time, the rule has always been that between the state and the county, whichever of the stricter protocols or requirements will be the controlling requirement.
So we've been talking about testing here for several months now, and we've opened testing locations all over the county, and now we're finding that testing is going to be very important in lifting some of the restrictions and going forward.
Yeah.
Share a little bit about that
Sure.
if you could.
Thank you, Larry. So the state's framework uses two main metrics, in balance with one another. So the first metric is the number of positive cases per 100,000 of the population. And the second metric is the number of positive test results against the number of tests taken. So basically, the more tests we administer, the more tests we take, the better our numbers are going to look. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to look better in terms of being the denominator for the number of positive test results we get in. But it's also going to be better because the moment we know that someone is COVID positive, we can activate the COVID-19 support team. Mm-hmm. The COVID-19 support team will provide housing assistance, temporary housing if that's what you need, assistance with groceries, assistance with getting you the proper health care and medical services. And they're just a phenomenal team that's there to wrap themselves, to wrap our services around you to make sure that you get better. Number one, you get better. And number two, we limit the spread. We stop the spread where it is.
So I want to be clear. We're red now.
We're red now.
The next step is to hopefully go to orange. Mm-hmm. But there is a possibility if we don't do what we should as a county, we could go back to the purple, correct?
Yes, correct. There's always a possibility for us to go back to purple. And, it comes down to, again, us, all businesses having a social distancing protocol, everybody wearing their face coverings, everybody abiding by the social distancing protocol, everybody taking really good care of yourself. Monitor your health, check on your coworkers. If there are symptoms, you must isolate right away. If you work at a job that exposes you regularly to members of the public, if you rely on public transportation, if you're just out and about because of the nature of your job or the activities that you participate in, limit where you can and get tested. I mean, our guidance here is that for all essential workers, you want to get tested at least once a month. That's the bare minimum, right? So trust me, we're not going to be mad if you're getting tested every other week or if you're getting tested after, a day at the job and you realize there was a lot more foot traffic than normal today, and there may be some moments where I may have been a little bit more at more risk for exposure. Mm-hmm. If you have a feeling, just go get tested, and we try to make it as easy as possible. SECfreetest.org is where you can find all of our testing resources. We have the Fairgrounds testing site, which can accommodate up to 5,000 test takers per day. You can drive through, you can walk up, you can even ride your bike through. We're a huge bike community here. So if you want to ride your bike through, you don't even have to get off the seat and they'll still test you.
So testing is very important, and I was saying we don't want to go back.
We don't want to go back to purple.
I don't know if, Jeff, you can zoom in here. It is a privilege to actually be in the red tier. I mean, it's not the best tier.
It's not the best
tier. But if you look at the state here, mostly everyone is in purple right now.
Yeah, and that's really it's really a testament to the residents of our county. The residents of our county, our business leaders, our community leaders have really answered the call and really supported one another in adopting best practices. Making sure that everyone's wearing face coverings, washing hands, keeping your distance, changing your way of life to be as virtual and remote as possible. I just want to, on behalf of the county, thank you. Thank you for all the great work that you've done. I think, probably a lot of you are at work right now, with the new businesses allowed to resume. Hopefully, for those who are at work, this could play back. Just thank you for all the work that you've done to help us make enough gains to get this far. Mm-hmm. But we still have a long ways to go. I know we can get there. Our county residents has shown time and time again that, we've got what it takes to flatten this curve and make gains and strides against it. So I know we're going to get there. Yeah,
we've been very diligent in being concise about disseminating information to the community, but there are times there have been so many changes that people can get confused. We were open for 2 days, then the state closed everything down. So what can businesses do to find out more information, like what should my business be doing, mm-hmm. or what forms I need to fill out, or if people have concerns about COVID and they want to make a report?
I would say the first website you should check out is, as always, the county's coronavirus website, seccov.gov. city.org/coronavirus. It is the most comprehensive website. Everything we've got, we put it up there. So, I think what that does too is that it creates a bit of an information overload. I feel like it's a fun site to navigate, but it does require a little time. We're working on fixing that, on revising the website to make it a lot more easier to navigate because there's just so much information. Another website you can go to is seccovidconcerns.org. That's a portal specifically for businesses, for patrons of businesses. By going to that site, you can easily find out what is required of your business. All businesses operating are required to, number one, have a social distancing protocol on file submitted. And number two, you must adhere to the industry-specific industry-specific directives that has been created for your industry. Those are mandatory. They're not guidance. They're actually the requirements of operations. So you can go to seccovidconcerns.org and see what is required of your business, how to submit a social distancing protocol. And also, too, as a patron or as an employee, if you have a concern about a certain business or a particular establishment that may not be complying with all the requirements of the social distancing protocol or not applying best practices as advised by the county, you could definitely lodge your concern at seccovidconcerns.org. And we take an education first approach here. We don't, it's not that the moment we get a concern, we're out there trying to penalize or fine people. We know that we are still in the curve of education. We're still in the phase of promoting and making sure that everyone has access to this information. So if there is a concern somewhere, by sharing it with us, we send an education team out first. We have language, our education team members are fluent in multiple languages. We want to provide support. We could do demonstrations on appropriate face coverings. We could even help measure the floors and tape them up too. So our team is there to help, and we take an education first approach. So please don't be shy about using covidconcerns.org to share your feedback, to let us know if there are businesses that could use a little extra help.
And they can also call our business call center as well.
Absolutely. And I'm going to make sure I get the number right. So I'm going to look down at my notes, 408-961-5500. I love talking. I mean, as you can tell, I love talking. I love maybe a little. I feel like sometimes a phone call is much easier, right, than going through a website. Or I like to do a combination of the both. we've had a lot of business owners and managers and workers call in, and they're on our site at the same time they're on the phone with our business call center. So don't be shy. Give us a call. We are language accessible, so just give us a call so that we could provide support in any way that we can. Because I think this cooperation that has been so. I think it's been successful so far.
Yes.
And as evidenced by our move to the red tier, as a very large county being moved into the red tier, that is a testament to everything that we've done as a community. So our resources are here. Please call us. I know you're not shy, So our team is on standby.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people are expecting, myself, I looked at the gym's website last night thinking, why aren't they open yet? They can open. But a lot of times people are getting prepared with all of the changes. People are getting prepared and making sure that they're following the guidelines to keep the community safe. Any closing thoughts?
Any closing thoughts? Be safe, be healthy, be well. Be in compliance with our industry-specific guidelines. Customers look for the COVID prepared sign when entering a business. That sign, that big check mark that says we're COVID prepared, should be at the front of the entrance, so that when you walk in, you know that they have a plan in place. And take a look. Just pause for a moment and look at their plan, because it should be posted right next to the check mark. How many people are allowed in the store? That's what it should identify. What kind of protocols has this business taken up to ensure your safety and the safety of their workers? I think those are my big talking points. Just continued collaboration with one another, cooperation, take care of one another, and take care of yourself. We'll get through this and get to that next tier.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Betty. I don't know what's up with the faded yellow skies this morning.
Oh my goodness. Yes, our air level is floating around the unhealthy phase.
Yeah, very unhealthy.
Our hearts go out to all those who are impacted by the fires that are just raging through the state and up and down the West Coast right now.
Yeah.
So I know that our emergency operations center here is now both a COVID and fire operations, with our county office of emergency management providing a lot of mutual aid to other jurisdictions. So a big shout out and appreciation to all of our firefighters, our first line responders, and to the staff of the county's office of emergency management. I hope be safe, everyone, and check yourself. If this air, it does not look like we typically see.
Very unhealthy for sensitive groups, but you know what? There's a silver lining, and we will get a break from the heat today.
There is a bit of a marine layer mixed in with the particulates in the air right now, so we do get a break from the heat, but continue to monitor yourself. If you start feeling some dizziness, some difficulty or with breathing, discomfort, please, be aware, be wary. The air may be cooler, but the air is still unhealthy. So you may need to close your windows and doors back up again, and turn your air filters on if you have them, to take care of yourself.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks so much. Facebook Live in Spanish comes up at 11 o'clock. And on Thursday, Facebook Live in Vietnamese at 10 a.m. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Be well. We'll see you next time.
For the latest information regarding the COVID-19 pandemic in Cupertino, please visit cupertino.org/coronavirus.